the D&H yards up out of the hole across. This is behind this storage over here. It's Lynn Tractor. This is the corner of Oneida and Chestnut. All of this, by the way, did not exist because the line ran up and through this little ditch there, as it were. At any rate, so now we've dieselized. Again, Salzburg scrap dealer bought this used from General Electric, put it to work on the line, didn't even bother to repaint it, nothing. It ran like that for a couple of years, as a matter of fact. At the same time, they also bought a second locomotive. This is actually GE number 6. This came to the Unadilla Valley Railroad. And the Unadilla Valley Railroad went, hey, we'll try it. They tried it, didn't work. Just sat there, spun its wheels. You know, keep in mind, like I said, they need power on southern New York, but they don't have a lot of cars to haul. The UV, you gotta get moving at least 20, 30 miles an hour out here on the line, or it's really not worth the time, and you better be able to haul a string of 10 or 15 or 20 cars. They sent that to the WAG, the
Wellsville, Addison, Gallatin.
Thank you. They sent it back to the UV. This doesn't work for us. The UV went like, I have no idea what we're gonna do with it. And they ended up sending it to southern New York, where it showed up, and they said, can you make it work? And they said, hey, we already got one of these. We have its twin brother sitting right here. When it first showed up, number 300, it's still the same number that had been signed on the UV and the WAG. Somebody just took a brush of white paint, went southern New York. This is down in the hole. This is down by the D&H exchange. Again, just moving cars around. This is D&H yard now, and the track behind us, this is now looking up the hill. So there's the yard down by the D&H, then there's a track that goes up out of the hole, up to Oneida Street, then around the back. We're starting up the hill. That factory that I mentioned, that now has the big American flag and the chutes for feed in it, is right behind us. This is now heading, this line goes up, and Oneida Street is up there. We're gonna stop for a second, get the all clear, make sure switches and everything like that is set. We'll look behind us. Now we're looking back. This is the D&H yard. The D&H tracks run that way. That's the bridge I talked about before. It goes over the tracks. There's the factory over to the right. We're pulling some cars out, getting ready to go up the hill. Now we're moving. Now we're at the base. Now we're across the street.
No, that's not just hand painted, that's been redone.
Mm-hmm.
SNY.
Yeah. They have finally now gotten around to repainting everything in southern New
Oh,
York.
that's true, it's no longer UV colors, yeah.
Right. Okay. They have repainted everything. It's the Unadilla Valley. Those colors are actually Salzburg colors.
Right.
This was painted Salzburg colors as well. It's just
Different pattern. Yeah.
different pattern. This is just the older incarnation, but now you can see this is the end of the line. Now we're looking up the hill and this incline.
So that's Salzburg colors.
Yes,
Yeah.
orange and cream.
Yeah.
Quick stop for Howard, if you look out in the newsletters for a story called The Corn Popper, that's about that locomotive,
Oh, okay.
number 300.
Yeah. This is, now we were down here in the hole. You really have to know this road. This is a rather steep road. This berm actually is still existent there. You can, if you go down, this is the extension of Country Club Road down to the yard. That berm is still there. This is climbing up that berm. Same thing, only this is a little bit closer to summer. We're coming up the berm. The road goes off to the right and then up to Oneida Street. This goes through a cut and then goes up to Oneida Street and comes out on Oneida Street. Country Club Road is actually on this side of this. so that he's out there holding up traffic, he's on Oneida Street. He's right before Country Club Road, that would be where the Honda dealer is now, right where that all is. This would have passed right through there, okay? It came out of Oneida, across Oneida Street first, went across Oneida Street, and then went across Country Club Road. So it didn't go diagonally through the intersection, it went up one side and then across. That was somebody sitting there, I guess, waiting impatiently for it to go past, and took a picture. There's the light at the corner of Oneida and Country Club Road. And you can see where it's come up on the left side across Oneida, and then it's going to go across Country Club Road. This is looking back in the other direction. There's a service station there now. Well, it's not there anymore. Now it is another used car place, and I can't remember the name of it. But this is Country Club Road. That is Oneida Street. There is, yeah, that little car you can see on the right-hand side of that. There is another book that deals with both the Southern New York and Unadilla Valley that was put out by Carson Publications. And it's Railroads of Upstate New York. I should have brought it, I forgot it.
The orange one.
Yeah, the orange one. And there's a color picture, not of this, but of the, you know, it's, the train's back a little bit further. There's a color picture of this that shows exactly the same
Is
color.
that a Karstens, you said?
Karsten, yeah.
Railroad Model Craftsman?
No.
Same general.
Yeah,
that's-
they have a book called Short Lines of Upstate New York.
That's the one.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and there's
Published
part
in
one and part two. This is out of part two, but you would see a similar picture. Most of these pictures were taken by Bill Young, who was a railroad enthusiast. He lived in the area. He took a lot of pictures of the Unadilla Valley. He took a lot of pictures of Southern New York.
And wrote the book.
Yes, and wrote a book.
Is this
We
the
have.
print or?
Yes, we will.
Yeah, the Short Lines of New York was published in 2012.
Yeah.
I just bought a copy off of Amazon.
Really? Is it hardbound or?
Hardbound,
Hardbound.
$60.
Yeah.
Orange cover.
And like I said, there's 2 volumes. So if you want the one specifically dealing with Southern New York and Unadilla Valley, that's part 2.
Well, it turns out that the Lehigh Valley had an extensive set of short lines, centered, like between Cortland and Ithaca
Mhm.
Yeah.
and,
They cover a lot of this stuff, and if that's what you're looking for, then get both volumes.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
well worth it.
Very
You know,
good.
it's a very brief coverage of each railroad.
It's like 6 pages.
Yeah, it's not gonna be much, but they're all color.
beautiful.
Beautiful picture.
Thank
yeah.
you.
It's
Thank you.
very nice. Anyway, so here we are, we're crossing Country Club Road. Now we're gonna turn north and we're heading up towards the yard. So again, Country Club Road, now we're looking north, up into here, we're gonna go up here. We have 2 directions we can go when we can get up here. We can go left to West Oneonta, or we can go right into the yard, which would be directly behind that locomotive. So we've gone up that cut now. We're looking back, we were just back here. This is the yard. Now you'll notice, hey, wait a minute, there's a pile of ties, but where does those locomotives go? They're gone, they were sold for scrap. Okay, this is, again, this was completely loaded up when they first started out, and now they've really cleaned it up. They've gotten rid of a lot of the crap that was in there.
About when was that in time?
This would have been, they got the diesels in 53. The first one, number 5, came in 53. The second one came in like 56 or 57. And everybody's got a different idea of exactly when it arrived on the line. But so that by 57, I don't know if this is, I can't tell. I think it's number 5. So this could be any time. Well, they didn't repaint number 5 to the Salzburg colors until number 300 arrived on the line. So this would have been after 57.
So it's a 5-year window.
Again, this is just, that'll show you there's little odds and ends businesses there. This is kind of a little retrospective, but that would have been over here. but this is, you know, again, now we're heading towards the Y. It wasn't really a Y, it was more like a triangle actually, but where we would go either to West Oneonta or we would go over to the yard. There's that. This is now, we've turned and we're looking the other way. Down that way is where our diamond or our triangle is, where we would go left to West Oneonta, which is over this way, right to the yard. Behind us is that secondary yard, and behind that is heading back towards the hole. So we go down this slight incline, there's a switch. At the switch we turn left. If we turn left, let's see, I don't remember which one this is. Okay, this is heading down the incline and we have just reached the switch. If we went left, we would go to West Oneonta. If we went right, we would go to the yard, and right now that's where they're heading. However, this one is them hauling a drain off to, or hauling a boxcar off to West Oneonta. Remember that they had cut back, remember, I don't know if I mentioned that, they had cut back the tracks to West Oneonta, but the West Oneonta station was still there, the railroad still owned it, and they still used it occasionally for storage. This is them heading over with a boxcar to West Oneonta, and this is almost to where 205 is now. Pretty much if we took a time machine and brought this forward, bam, they go right into the side of the berm. This is West Oneonta, where they've dropped off a similar boxcar for storage. Like I said, they had that building for a number of years. So that's West Oneonta. We went to the left when we came to that triangle. Instead, let's go to the right. We're going to go into the Oneonta yard. This is looking back. Our triangle is back there. We're coming up into the Oneonta yard. There is a switch going off to reach this business over here. There is Lynn Tractor, which is over here. There is the station, which is over here. There is the coal trestle right there. It's just a big V. And it all comes to a point at that end of the line, which is right in front of the schools. Okay, and that's the whole operation. That was it. We just went from one end of it to the other. This is just a color picture of, something other than the winter. This is just a color picture of the operation. But again, there's a siding off to one side. There's the engine house where the engines were kept. They had a littler house that they built for the speeder where they would keep it. This runs off to that triangle. This runs off to the coal trestle. The immediate right that's where that Southern New York station is, which by the way is still there.
The Southern New York station is still there?
Yeah.
Was that building you showed a few pictures back with a copper car next to it?
That building right there.
That building right there?
Yeah.
And that's still there?
That is still there. It is a recycling now. They do bottle exchange and things like that.
And that's off Oneida?
That's on Chestnut Street between Oneida and 205. And it is still there. This is that portable power station. It is now rotting into the ground. The feed store had bought this, so they've got a delivery. This is just, and in the background you can see the Plains School right there. They had built, in addition to this building, which is the old station, they had also built a second storage facility, which you can also see the little silo, the little thing there for grain. I have no idea what they do with those, but everybody that handles grain has little structures like that.
If you go to Google Maps today, can you trace out any of these former lines?
Oh yeah.
Can.
They're fairly clear. It's pretty easy to see all this stuff, and I've actually walked all of this, because this is a mile from my house. And it's fairly easy to see. Okay. Again, you can still you have to really like Photoshop and play with it, but you can still see it says Southern New York portable substation.
That's still there too.
Oh, that's long.
Long,
Well, that would be very valuable for Scrap Valley,
Yeah.
all the copper that's in it.
Yeah.
but is that the station right next to it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is the station. Again, we're looking back. This is number 5. That's your engine house. The track to the right there goes down and leads to that triangle, which again, if we continued on around West Oneonta, go to the left, we would go to the hole. This is the little house that they built for the speeder. They did all their own work primarily. Any big jobs that they would have had, they would have probably farmed out to the D&H. Otherwise, they would do all their own servicing. It was a small crew. They weren't running, like 150 boxcars a day. They'd be lucky to work, 3 days out of the week. So they had plenty of time to service and do other things like that. Again, this is just number 300. That's your trestle in the background. Unfortunately, the coal silos, the trestle, all these things are gone. That's just him heading in the other direction. That's moving around the yard. This is same thing. You can see the coal trestle. Well, the trestle is here. You can see the silo is there. That's the storage, and you can just barely see it here. But that is the that car that's just sitting there. The portable
That's the other
substation.
engine, that's 5.
Yeah, that's number 5. Again, same thing, just number 5. That's just a little bit closer. They would park cars everywhere there. And this was in later years, the school being here, they used all of this for parking, so that it would be not unusual to come in here and find cars parked all over that. That's as far as the tracks went. They were cut off there. They used to go down Chestnut Street, not anymore.
So is that Chestnut Street across from the light?
You are looking straight down Chestnut Street. Oneida Street comes across.
Okay.
That service station is no longer a shell, but it is there. Where that brick building is across the way, that was torn down. That is now a Hess station.
So, I mean, my sister used to go to Albany State. We took Route 7 and made that turn a zillion times.
Yep.
But this way is where all the infrastructure is that you've been talking about.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Behind us, yes.
I see.
Behind
I
us
see.
is all this stuff. Yeah. So did you do that before or after 1970?
Before.
Oh, well then you would have gone right past it. All good things come to an end. Lynn Tractor wants, Lynn.
Mr. Lynn.
H. Lynn. Okay, when he died in 1937, they couldn't find anybody to run the company. They finally, his widow approached a fella in New Berlin that had been a competitor and said, could you take over? And he took over. Lynn had been...
Who was it? The person? When you say New Berlin, I'm interested in who.
Perkins.
Oh, Perkins.
Perkins, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't get a first name. This is just a very,
Okay,
okay,
I could find out.
yeah.
Well,
It was Perkins.
Rufus Perkins is heavily involved with UV,
Mhm.
must be related.
Yeah, and when Perkins took over, Perkins was out of New Berlin. When Perkins took over, he reorganized Lynn Tractor as the Oneonta Lynn Corporation. Run you real quick through. Lynn had been very successful. He sold these things everywhere. Everybody had his tractors for doing road work and all the rest of this. It was great equipment, very reliable, very innovative. He ran his company well. He was growing. Then he crashes. Perkins, who was a lot less successful than Lynn, is approached by Lynn's widow. He takes over. reorganizes everything, and he comes in, basically doesn't do a very good job. And things start to decline, and he is releasing new models, but they don't work. There's problems with them. They didn't troubleshoot them properly. They didn't, all of a sudden, this incredibly reliable piece of equipment now becomes faulty. He is missing out on government contracts. It's World War II now.
Oh, wow.
Okay, everybody in the world is selling to the military. He should be selling these things to the military. The military is rejecting them because they don't work very well. He did manage to land a couple of government contracts, but it didn't work out as well as it could have. Ultimately, in '46, they had to reorganize because they were, by the end of the Second World War, they were in pretty good financial shape because they had the government contracts that they did manage to land. But then they had a shortage of raw materials. And then they had labor problems. They had, at this point, they had 300 people working in Oneonta. But with shortages and the company's name declining, and then labor organizers came in and organized the factory. And so that in 1953, they had a strike that lasted for a couple of weeks and was a whole big thing, and they had to call the state, I think the state troopers were involved. I know that the local police were, because it got a little ugly at times. And they basically didn't want to raise wages. They ended up raising wages anyway, but it kind of messed up a contract that they had negotiated. And obviously, with the end of the Second World War, government contracts were winding down. With the decreased reliability, it just now really declined. I'm trying to remember here, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, they by 55, they had sold the plant to yet another company. And then it was sold to another company, and and by 1970, they were just basically out of business. So this was a quite a vibrant operation. So that, remember that this is, you know, we hit the 50s, we're dieselizing, everything goes along very quiet. You can drive right past it, maybe not even see it. Okay, it did its job for 15 years. But as the fortunes of the companies around it, who uses coal to heat? Who heats with coal? There's no call for coal anymore. Blue coal is going out of business. Lynn Tractor has gone through a series of problems. They're now, by 1970, out of business. All the other little local businesses there, it's kind of hit and miss. When the time came for them to decide to abandon this operation, they did get an outcry from the general population who wanted their little railroad. They also did, notably, get an outcry from local businesses. But ultimately, Salzburg decided that there was just not enough business there to sustain this operation. So, in 1970, they closed the doors and filed for abandonment. They basically, the operation sat around, those locomotives were there until 71. 1971, they hauled the locomotives out, put them on the D&H, towed them down to Binghamton, and then sent them out to the WAG, the Williston. Yeah, well, okay. This picture is taken, this is, I believe, Route 7. This is down in Binghamton.
So it's funny because the WAG didn't want them anyway.
Yeah.
Sad.
They shipped them out. You can tell, see, it's really interesting because if you look at these things real quick, you'll see the footboards on them, very dangerous to stand on that, because if you slipped or fell, you were under the wheels of the locomotives. Okay, they were trying to eliminate those in like the 30s and 40s. They finally just banned them outright completely, and I think 80s, 90s, somewhere in there. They made it illegal to have those on because they were so dangerous. But you can always tell when the picture was taken post abandonment, because
Those are
that's the
gone.
footboards.
Yeah.
They took them off the ends of the cars, put them up, and you'll never see it again. This is actually in Wellsville, whatever it was, yeah, Wellsville.
Wellsville, yeah.
You can tell just because the footboards aren't on anymore. This is in front. They had an engine house, and it burned down, and so they built a new one out of brick in the '60s, late '60s. This is those two locomotives sitting in front of their engine house. They got it there.
Is that still standing, that building?
Oh, that one I have no idea.
Is this Wellsville, Pennsylvania?
Wellsville, New York.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gallatin's in Pennsylvania, and Wellsville and Addison are in New York.
Anyway, they took these two locomotives and just shoved them in the back of the shop. They arrived there. Nobody knew what the heck to do with them, so they just shoved them in the back of that building, and they sat there for a number of years, and then they scrapped them. And that is
Thank
the
you,
end of
Paul.
the Senate.
Thank you so much. Very, very good. Now, what year was it, Paul, that they tore down the roundhouse in Oneonta?
90 something. I actually have what's his name? Jim Loudon wrote a book about that.
Yeah, 93 or
And we
94.
watched, it was either a VHS or it was a DVD here that,
Yeah.
I think it was one of the saddest things I ever witnessed.
Yeah.
When they interviewed people that had been employed, and it was awful.
Howard, I was gonna say there are 3 books about the UV. We have 2 of them for sale. The third one's out of print.
I'll have to take a look at your webpage.
Lady right behind you is our storage.
Right.
Yeah,